A missing woman, a quiet non-profit with too many secrets, and a trail of contradictions that leads deep into the winter woods. Helena Monroe is a private investigator with a profiler's mind and instincts she can't always explain. She sees what everyone else has missed, if she can find the truth before it disappears. The Volunteer, by 10 Chapters Audiobooks. Chapter 1. The Second Step. The office of the Second Step Foundation used to be a bakery. The old sign still faintly bled through the white paint above the door. A bell rang when Helena pushed it open. The air held a faint hum, the sound of an old refrigerator and a ceiling vent that breathed in uneven bursts. She had driven straight from the police station, where Detective Ruiz handed her a single page. Missing person, Emily Hart, 26. Ruiz's tone had carried that mix of courtesy and skepticism she'd grown used to since leaving the bureau. Family's insisting she wouldn't just take off, he'd said. Her mom scraped together a retainer. You can keep us in the loop if you find something. That meant unofficial help, tolerated, not wanted. Helena had spoken briefly with Emily's mother before coming here. The woman's voice trembled, but stayed polite, almost apologetic. They think she just ran off to another project, she'd said. But Emily always calls me on Sundays. A woman stood behind the counter that now served as a reception desk. Her sweater was careful, pilled at the wrists. The name tag read, Tara. There was a clipboard with volunteer hours and a blue pen on a string. A jar of lollipops sat beside a hand-lettered card that said, Take one if you were brave today. Can I help you? Tara said. Helena Monroe. Mrs. Hart asked me to look into her daughter's disappearance. Detective Ruiz told me you might be expecting me. The second step helps people coming out of difficult circumstances, fresh starts, reintegration, that sort of thing. Right? Helena asked, keeping her tone neutral. Tara nodded. We give people structure, she said. A place to feel steady again. Tara's gaze slipped past Helena for a beat before settling. You're here about Emily. A door opened down the hallway. A man stepped out, tall, spare, with a pastor's old habit of making eye contact last a second too long. Graham Laird offered his hand. I'm glad you came. Emily is one of ours. He led Helena to a small meeting room. We're a transition space, Graham said, for people between one life and the next. It had a circle of chairs and a rug woven with blue triangles. On the wall, photos of volunteers smiling in matching shirts. A banner from last year's reintegration fair curled at the corners. The heater clicked once, then went quiet. Emily's mother says she hasn't heard from her in 5 days, Helena said. Her phone last pinged near your retreat house. Graham's smile faded a fraction. She needed space. We encourage it sometimes. The world is loud. People who come to us are trying to quiet the shout. When did you last see her? Friday night. She finished the clothes drive. She left a note for Tara saying she might take the early bus to the lake. Tara stood at the doorway, arms folded. I didn't see a note, she said. It was on the clipboard, Graham replied. Maybe it slipped. Helena looked at the circle of chairs. 2 of them sat closer than the rest, almost touching. A dent in the rug where another chair had been. Can I have a copy of your volunteer schedules from last week? Helena asked. Graham nodded. Of course. We have nothing to hide. Our mission is on the walls. He handed her a binder. It felt too light for its size. Papers settled against plastic sleeves with a soft sigh. May I see the retreat house? She asked. Graham's mouth softened into the trace of a smile again. We are always careful about visitors. People heal there. But yes, I will make an exception. Tara's eyes dipped to Helena's shoes and then to the jar of lollipops. She slid the jar a little closer, as if to offer something small and sweet. The bell at the front door rang again. A young man with a box on his shoulder entered, breath fogging. He set the box down and wiped his hands on his jacket. "Donations," he said. "From the church." He glanced at Helena and then at Graham. The glance lingered. Helena noted the sticker on the box. "Fragile." "What is your name?" Helena asked. He hesitated. "Liam." Graham clapped Liam on the shoulder. "One of our good ones. He runs on coffee and grace." He looked at Helena. "We will take you to the house after group. You can sit in if you want. We do not keep secrets." The heater clicked again. The sound held for a breath longer than it should. On the wall, one of the photos had slipped in its frame, so that only a corner of a smile showed, pale as a fallen petal. "Group starts now," Graham said. "Stay. Listen." Helena sat. People trickled in. A man with careful hair and new shoes. A woman with sleeves that hid her wrists. Liam took a chair near the door. The circle filled. Graham said a short welcome that felt like a hand settling lightly on the back of the neck. "Before we begin," Graham said, "does anyone have a share?" A woman cleared her throat. "I lost my key again," she said. "I keep losing things, but I'm here." Graham nodded. "Then it is not lost." The woman smiled. It did not reach her eyes. Helena looked down at the binder in her lap. A single slip of paper tucked inside the front sleeve bore a pencil drawing in the margins. A hand reaching upward, fingers lit by lines of radiance. Below it, a word faintly smudged. Faith. She turned the page. The binder's rings did not quite meet. Somewhere in the building, a door shut, soft as a swallow. When group ended, Graham stood. "We can go now," he said, coat already in hand. As Helena rose, Tara touched the desk drawer, opened it, and paused. Her eyes widened. She lifted out a folded note. It was addressed to Tara in a round, careful hand. Inside were 6 simple words. "I am going where you cannot." End of Chapter 1. Chapter 2. The Retreat House. The retreat house sat beyond the edge of town, where the road lost shoulders and faded into gravel. Pines grew close to the driveway. The lake was near enough to send a damp cold through the boards of the porch. Frost limned the railing. Graham unlocked the front door with a set of keys on a leather fob. The entryway held a bench and a row of hooks with grey hoodies. On the wall, a framed quote about quiet. "The house smelled of cedar and boiled pasta. Rooms upstairs," Graham said. "Common space here. We ask people to write their names on the sheet when they come and go. No one is forced to stay. It is important to choose." A clipboard hung by the door. Names and times in different inks. Emily's name appeared twice that week. The last entry read, Friday, 21:10. The space for departure was blank. "Kitchen is through there," he added. "You can look anywhere." He stepped aside to take a phone call, voice lowering as he moved toward the porch. Helena walked the living room. A couch faced a cold fireplace. A plaid blanket lay folded, sharp corners, no pills. On the shelf above the mantel stood a row of smooth stones, one inscribed with a single letter each, unarranged, waiting to form words. A game board leaned against the wall with a missing marker. A pitcher of water sweated onto a coaster. Liam came in from the back door, carrying a bag of salt for the steps. He set it down carefully and nodded to Helena. "Some of us crash here after late shifts," he said, Safer. Were you here Friday? Yeah, I think so. He frowned. It blurs, you know? We do meals, meetings, runs to the donation center. It all runs together. Helena looked at the guest book on the coffee table. The first page showed a neat block of rules about quiet hours and food prep and phone storage. Phone storage? She asked. Liam scratched his cheek. Reception is bad out here. People forget to charge them. We keep a charging basket so no one loses anything. It's voluntary. The basket sat under the console table. It held 3 old chargers, a tangle of cords, and 1 pink elastic band. No phones. Upstairs, the hallway was narrow and low. 4 rooms, 2 bathrooms. The first room held 2 twin beds and a window facing pines. On the dresser, a postcard of the lake and a penny. The second room had a single bed and a shelf with a copy of a novel that everyone begins and few finish. The third room had a yoga mat rolled tight in a corner. The fourth was empty, the bed stripped, a rectangle of unfaded paint where a picture had hung. Helena stood still for a moment, no creaks from settling wood. The air felt colder, as if the window did not seal. She checked the latch. It was locked. A small rug lay by the bed. The edge curled up slightly at the corner. She crouched and smoothed it. The fibers gave way to a square of floor that sounded different, a hollowness under the boards. She pressed. Nothing shifted. Footsteps on the stairs. Graham appeared in the doorway. That room is sometimes called the reflection room, he said. Some of our people need a place with fewer objects. We keep it simple. Was Emily here? She used the second room, he said. The single. She liked the shelf. Helena looked at the shelf. A faint smear on the wood caught the light. Something had been dragged, then wiped. Back downstairs, Graham showed her the kitchen. The fridge hummed. A list on the door assigned chores. Beside Friday night dishes, a name had been written and scratched out. Another name written over it. The scratch marks had torn the paper a little. Who assigns chores? Helena asked. We do it together, Graham said. He smiled. No one is in charge here, not really. He led her to a small room off the kitchen. We call this the quiet room, he said. A single chair, a small table, a lamp. No window. The lamp's bulb threw a softer light than the rest of the house. The cord ran along the baseboard and disappeared behind a bookshelf. On the table lay a folded paper square. Helena unfolded it with 2 fingers. It was a sketch, a hand in light. Graham exhaled. She draws, he said. Drew. The floor vent beneath the bookshelf was screwed shut with new screws. The paint around it was older than the metal. The screws were bright. From the porch came Liam's voice. Graham? There's someone here. A woman stepped into the doorway behind Liam. Dark coat, scarf tied too tight, eyes red at the rims. Emily's mother, she said. I have her bank statement. She held out a page. 3 cash withdrawals in the last week, each for the same amount, each from the ATM near the second step office. The most recent withdrawal was time-stamped Friday at 21:23. Helena took the statement gently. I'll include this for Detective Ruiz's file, she said. It might help him cross-check the timing. Helena looked at the retreat house clipboard again. Emily's last sign-in still read 21:10. The space for departure remained empty. Outside, the lake wind pushed against the porch screen. A nail in the frame squealed. The light in the quiet room flickered once and steadied. Why would she take cash if she was coming here? Emily's mother asked. No one answered. A board under the bookshelf gave a soft tick, as if settling. Then the front door swung wider. A police officer filled the threshold. He held up a photo, gloved hand steady. "Anyone here know this man?" he asked. End of chapter 2. Chapter 3. The Man in the Photo. The photo showed a man with a shaved head and wary eyes. He had a small scar at the side of his mouth that tugged his lip into an almost smile. The background was a city street, with winter sunlight that made colours harsh. "Detective Ruiz sent me," the officer said. "He mentioned you were looking into this too." Helena nodded once. "What's his name?" "Darius Flynn," the officer said. "He's on parole. He says he knows someone here. Says a woman promised him work." Graham stepped forward. "We assist many men and women on parole," he said. "We offer volunteer hours and referrals." The officer nodded. "This man was at the transit terminal Friday at 9. He tells us he met a woman named Emily, who gave him a ride toward this side of town. Emily's mother made a sound that seemed to open and close in her throat at once. "Do you have footage?" Helena asked. "Working on it," the officer said. "Transit cameras are being pulled. In the meantime, I am here to ask if Darius came to this house." Graham looked at Liam. Liam's gaze drifted to the floor. "No," Liam said. "I didn't see him." Helena took the photo, careful not to touch the officer's glove. The scar at Darius's mouth became more pronounced up close. He wore a jacket that fit badly across the shoulders, like it had belonged to someone else. The officer handed over a card. "If he shows up, call me," he said. "He is not dangerous when sober." He paused. "He says he's been clean 3 months. We will confirm." He left, boots thudding down the steps. Emily's mother stood very straight. "My daughter would not drive a stranger," she said. "She would not." Graham placed a hand on the back of a chair and moved it aside so she could sit. "We do not know yet what happened," he said. Helena turned the photo over. The back was blank. "I can check the steps," Liam said. He went out the back door. The latch scraped. Helena looked at the guest book once more. A different pen had been used for entries on Friday. The ink bled slightly more into the paper. The shape of E in Emily's name tilted in a way that did not match earlier weeks. She walked to the quiet room. The lamp on the table still hummed faintly. The cord along the baseboard disappeared behind the bookshelf, then emerged and ran to the outlet near the floor. She crouched, studying the screws on the vent. New heads, clean slots, no paint in them. The slotted pattern had a tiny burr on one, as if a screwdriver had slipped once. Emily's mother appeared at the doorway. "She left drawings in her high school notebooks," she said. Hands reaching out of water, out of snow, out of crowd. I told her that meant she wanted something. She said it meant light. Helena straightened. On the table, the folded sketch lay where she had left it. The paper had a crease, too, even to be accidental. Someone had taught Emily to fold precisely. Graham called from the front room. "We keep a sign-in sheet at the office also," he said. "We can compare those times." Back at the office, Tara had placed the clipboard beneath the counter. She pulled it out with both hands and set it down. The top sheet was new. Under it, older pages bore the faint pressure of past names. The lines made pale ghosts beneath the pen strokes. Emily's name appeared on Friday at 2040. A note beside it read, "Drop donations." The handwriting was round and clear. Tara touched the edge of the page. She was here, she said. She carried a box. Did she say where she was going? Helena asked. Tara shook her head. She smiled at Liam and said he owed her coffee. Then she left. Did she take a lollipop? Helena asked. Tara blinked. She always took lemon, she said. She said it cut the taste of the dust. The jar on the counter showed 2 lemons left among the cherries. The bell rang again. A man in a reflective vest stepped inside, stamping his boots. He carried a plastic bag from the bank. Deposit slips, he said. Sorry, end of day got weird. He handed the bag to Tara and left as quickly as he'd come. Graham said, We'll look at Friday. Tara opened the bag. A paperclip held a handful of slips together, each stamped with the bank's grey mark. 3 slips bore Friday's date. The amounts matched the cash withdrawals from Emily's statement. In the lower corner of each slip was a handwritten set of initials, ELH. Emily's mother reached for the counter and gripped it. She would not make deposits, she said. She is not staff. Tara swallowed. Sometimes volunteers run errands when they are nearby, she said. Only if they offer. Who gave her the cash? Helena asked. No one spoke. From the back room came a sound like a box sliding on a shelf and then stopping hard. Liam appeared in the doorway, breathing a little fast. Sorry, he said. I dropped the scarves bin. His jacket sleeve had a smear the colour of graphite near the elbow. He tugged the sleeve down to hide it. Helena looked at the binder. The sketch in the sleeve had been moved to the back. The bell over the door chimed once more without the door opening. Tara whispered, Sometimes it does that. On the desk, beneath the jar of lollipops, the folded note addressed to Tara slid half an inch under the pressure of the jar's base. A shadow crossed the window. A man's voice outside said, She told me to come back if I wanted a second chance. The bell rang properly. Darius Flynn stepped inside. End of chapter 3. Chapter 4. Static. Darius stood just inside the door, hands visible, shoulders square. He glanced at each person in turn, before landing on Graham. Do you remember me? He asked. Graham nodded. You came to group once, he said. It has been a while. Darius's gaze tracked to Helena. He dipped his chin in greeting. The officer said you might be here, he said. Tell us about Friday, Helena said. Darius rubbed his palms on his jeans. City terminal. I was waiting for the bus. She came down the steps with a box. She looked like she was about to miss something, and then decided not to. She asked me where the Oak Street route was. I said it doesn't run after 9. She said that was unhelpful, and then she laughed. She asked if I needed a ride somewhere nearby. I said yeah. I said the charity place if they were open. She said they were. He looked at Tara. I put the box on your counter, he said. Scarves. She said someone would yell if they got lost. Tara nodded slowly. What time did you leave her? Helena asked. Darius thought. 9:15? 20? She said she had one more stop. She said if I stuck around there might be coffee left. Graham said, She did not come back here after 9. Darius shrugged. She said lake, he offered. I remember that. I asked if it was too cold. She said the cold woke things up. Emily's mother made a small sound and put a knuckle to her mouth. Did anyone talk to her at the terminal? Helena asked. A guy in a red jacket asked for bus money, Darius said. She gave him a lollipop. Did she mention the bank? Helena asked. No, Darius said. I don't think so. Helena thanked him. He shifted his weight. I can look around outside, he said. If anyone wants help. He held the door for himself and went out, careful not to let it bang. When Darius left, Helena noted the time and jotted it on her pad. Graham said, We will gather names of volunteers who were scheduled late Friday. Tara began listing them, pen tapping between each. Me, Liam, Jenna. Carlo was supposed to do the donation pickup, but he was sick. Where is Jenna? Helena asked. Back room, Tara said. Sorting. Helena walked down the hall. The back room held rows of shelves, labelled bins, a humming fluorescent light. Jenna stood at a table with a stack of winter hats. She looked up without surprise. You are looking for Emily, Jenna said. Yes. She has a way of making rooms lighter, Jenna said. You notice when she is gone. Were you here Friday? Jenna nodded. Till 10. Graham asked me to cover the late shift. He said people might drop donations after the community dinner. It was quiet. Liam took out trash. Tara did intake. Emily came in with the box and left again. Did she say where she was going? Jenna pinched a thread and snapped it off a hat brim. She asked what time the lake buses stop. I said a while ago. She said she would figure it out. Did anyone else come by? A man with a shaved head. He stood by the window and watched the parking lot while Emily filled out a slip. Darius. Jenna nodded again. He seemed careful. She did not seem afraid. Helena looked at the shelves. A fresh cardboard box sat on the floor by a bin of scarves. Graphite streaks smudged one side. A folded piece of paper had slipped between the shelf and the wall. Helena eased it out with 2 fingers. It was a deposit slip, Friday's date. The handwritten initials ELH in the corner. Where do you keep slip copies? Helena asked. In the office file, Jenna said. Graham locks it at close. Was it locked Friday? Jenna lifted a shoulder. I went home at 10. Footsteps passed the open door. Liam's shadow moved across the far wall and vanished. In the office, Graham unlocked a drawer and handed Helena a stack of slips. The Friday copies were missing. Behind them lay a small envelope with a rubber band around it. Inside were 4 keys on a ring and a tag that read Retreat House. One key was newer than the others, the grooves still sharp. Who has these? Helena asked. Staff, he said, and some trusted volunteers. Tara stood with her hands flat on the counter. We share responsibility, she said. The bell rang. A police officer different from the first stepped in. He looked from face to face and then settled on Helena. We pulled terminal camera footage, he said. We have Emily with Darius. We also have her outside the bank at 9:21. He lifted a photograph from a folder. It showed Emily at an ATM, hood up, hair escaping, eyes set. Behind her shoulder, just outside the frame of the camera's focus, a figure waited in the glow of the vestibule light. The figure's face was not visible. Only the sleeve of a jacket showed. The sleeve had a pale smear near the elbow, the same colour as graphite. End of Chapter 4. Chapter 5. The Ledger. Snow came overnight in a clean sheet. The bell stuttered when Helena walked in. Tara was there, scarf still on, hands wrapped around a paper cup she did not drink from. Graham is at the bank, she said. He wants to clear up the deposit confusion. He said there might have been a counting error. Where is Liam? Helena asked. Shovel, Tara said. He started early. Jenna? Sorting. Helena went to the back room. Jenna had the radio off and the overhead light on. She held a stack of sweaters and stared at them like they might begin to speak. She set them down. I keep thinking she will text, Jenna said, saying she overslept or got on the wrong bus. The door to the stock closet was ajar. Inside were cleaning supplies, a bucket, and a small metal lockbox on a shelf. The lockbox was open. Inside lay a thin black ledger book with a broken spine. Helena lifted it and set it on the table. Tara appeared in the doorway, saw the book, and went still. Is this your petty cash ledger? Helena asked. Tara nodded. We record cash and small purchases. A lot of donations come through that way, especially from church sales. The ledger's first pages were clean, columns clear, entries neat. The later pages grew more crowded. Friday's page held 3 lines that matched the amounts from the slips. In the margin, a notation read, ATM night in a different hand. Beside it, an initial that was not ELH. Who wrote this? Helena asked. Tara hesitated. We sometimes share the ledger, she said. It could be me. It could be Graham. A car door thumped outside. The bell rang after a second. Graham stepped in with snow still in his hair. He smiled without showing teeth. The bank clarified, he said. The deposits were correct. Someone used initials on behalf of the office. It happens. Helena said nothing. Then, the slips were missing from your locked drawer. Graham nodded. I found them, he said. He held up a small stack in a clear sleeve. They had fallen down the back. He set them on the counter. The corners were dusty in a way that did not match falling. The dust lay across the face instead of the edges. Who has access to the lock drawer? Helena asked. Me, Tara, and sometimes Liam, Graham said. Trust is the scaffold we build on. The door opened again, cold, pushing in. Darius stood there, eyes squinting against the light. The officer wants me to stay reachable, he said. I figured here is reachable. Helena gestured toward the chairs. He sat without being asked a second time. Tara brought a cup of coffee and set it down with a care that made the surface ripple twice. Do you keep records of volunteers' hours off-site? Helena asked Graham. At the retreat house? In a binder by the door, he said. We keep a copy here weekly. Can I see last week's copy? Graham went to the office and returned with a thin folder. The entries for Friday showed 4 names, with hours logged until 10. A blank space where Emily's name should have been. A note at the bottom read, late drop with a question mark, written in Tara's careful hand. Why question it? Helena asked. Because I did not see her leave, Tara said quietly. From the back room, Jenna called, Helena? Helena went. Jenna stood with the ledger open to a torn page. The tear was clean, as if cut and then stressed along the cut. The missing page's faint impression remained on the sheet beneath. Numbers, a note, initials that might have been ELH if the curve of the H had not hooked differently. What was here? Helena asked. Jenna stared at the soft ghost of the numbers. Friday, she said. I think. Helena looked at the trash bin. Fresh liner. No paper fragments visible. She pulled the liner up and lifted it. Underneath, in the rim of the bin, a strip of paper had caught. The strip showed the bottom of a line, the cross of a T, the tail of a Y. She set the strip on the table and smoothed it with 2 fingers. The strip had a grey smear across it like graphite. Darius leaned in the doorway, coffee in hand, watching with wary interest. "I know that mark," he said, "from the donation boxes. The scarf bin leaves that colour." "Why would a donation bin mark a ledger page?" Jenna asked. No one answered. Tara's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and went pale. "What is it?" Graham asked. Tara swallowed. "Parking lot camera," she said. "The landlord sent stills from Friday. He wanted to prove people aren't parking overnight." She turned the screen so they could see. A still from 2126 showed the office door half open. Emily stood inside, holding a folded paper. Liam stood just outside the door with his back to the camera. Graham's car was parked facing away. The next still, 2129, showed the door closed. Only the empty glass reflected the parking lights. The last still, 2131, showed a figure crossing the lot toward a car at the far end. The figure's hood was up. The angle erased the face. The car was not Graham's. It was a small sedan with a dent on the rear bumper and a university sticker on the window, Tara whispered. "Jenna's car." Jenna's eyes widened. "I left at 10, she said. "I did." Helena looked from the still to Jenna's keys on the table. The key ring had a small plastic tag with a campus logo. From the front room came Graham's voice, controlled and low. "Liam," he said, "where did you go after you finished shoveling Friday?" There was a silence that stretched just long enough to change shape. Then Liam said, "Back to the retreat house." The heater hummed, and from beneath the baseboard, near the office vent, a thin line of cold air traced the floor and lifted a strip of torn paper just enough for the grey smear to catch the light. End of Chapter 5. Chapter 6. The Quiet Hours. The landlord's stills stayed on the counter where Tara had set them. The small sedan with the university sticker parked at the edge of the lot where shadows blurred into the curb. Helena studied the timestamp again. 21 to 31. The bell chimed softly as the front door eased shut behind someone who had just left. No one had touched it. Graham cleared his throat. "We can check the retreat house logs again," he said. His tone had the practiced calm of someone who explained things often. Maybe there was confusion with the times. Helena nodded, but said nothing. Tara folded her arms tightly across her chest, as if the still images themselves were a draft she needed protection from. "Jenna," Helena said, "did anyone borrow your car Friday?" "No." Jenna's answer came quickly, sharpened by nerves. "My keys were in my bag. I hung my coat in the back room like always." "Was the room locked?" "No, it never is." Helena let the silence widen just enough. Jenna swallowed. "Anyone could have—" She didn't finish the sentence. A thud sounded from the storage closet behind them. Tara jumped. "I can check," Helena said. She opened the closet door. The shelves were neat. Paper towels, tape, a crate of folded canvas donation bags. A box on the top shelf sat slightly askew. She steadied it with 2 fingers. The edge left a faint dust line on her skin, a soft grey film. She wiped her hand on her coat. Behind her, Graham said, "We should go back to the house, get clarity on the logbook." Liam stood by the window again, looking out at the street. "I don't understand why she'd go to the bank," he murmured. She didn't like going alone. Emily's mother had stayed silent through most of the morning, but now she spoke. "She didn't withdraw large amounts of cash," she said quietly. "Not unless someone needed it." "Needed?" Tara echoed. For groceries. For someone who couldn't afford shoes. For people she barely knew. Emily's mother's voice trembled, but she kept going. She cared too much sometimes. Helena's gaze moved to the ledger on the table. The torn page. The grey smear. The missing notation. "I can pull more footage from the landlord," Tara said quickly, as if gathering tasks to keep her hands busy. "He has a camera on the alley too." Graham shook his head. "Let's not overwhelm ourselves." But Tara was already dialing. Liam shifted, uncomfortable. "Maybe someone else came by after I left," he said. "People drop things late." "You said you went back to the retreat house after shoveling," Helena said. "Yeah." Liam's jaw tensed. "I did." Helena kept her voice level. "Did you see anyone when you left the office? Any cars?" "I don't know." His tone edged toward defensive. "It was cold. I was tired." A text tone chirped from Tara's phone. She read the message, face draining. The landlord sent the alley stills. She held the phone so they could see. At 21:33, a figure walked along the alley behind the building. Hood up, shoulders tight, something clutched to the chest. Rectangular, maybe a folder or a thin box. At 21:34, the figure reached the corner where the alley met the lot. The image blurred as the figure turned sharply out of view. At 21:36, a different still showed a car reversing out of the lot. The same small sedan with the university sticker. Jenna pressed a hand to her forehead. "I didn't take my car," she whispered. "I didn't." "We can check the mileage," Emily's mother said softly. It was not an accusation, only fact. Graham exhaled through his nose. "Let's not jump to conclusions." "We're not," Helena said evenly. The bell chimed again, the faintest ring, as if someone had brushed it rather than opened the door. Darius stepped inside. "I think I should tell you something," he said. Graham stiffened. "What is it?" Darius glanced at Helena before speaking. "When I came back out of the terminal building on Friday, after she dropped me, there was a guy standing by the payphone. He hesitated. White jacket, big hood. Didn't look at me, just watched her car drive off." "Why didn't you say this earlier?" Tara asked. "I didn't think it mattered." He looked down at his coffee cup. But I don't know. He felt off. "Do you know him?" Helena asked. Darius shook his head. "But I saw him again today, by the lake trail. Same jacket." Graham's eyebrows lifted. "You're sure?" "I don't forget faces," Darius said. His hand tightened around the cup. "And he was watching the parking lot here when I walked over." Tara backed up a step. "Watching? Us?" "Yeah," Darius said. "And when he saw me look, he walked away." Helena moved to the window. Snow had softened into slush. Tire tracks curved along the street. A single set of footprints led toward the direction of the lake. A figure stood half a block away, hood up, hands in pockets. Motionless, watching, Jenna whispered, "Is that him?" The figure shifted and stepped behind a parked truck out of view. Graham's voice was barely above breath. "What does he want?" The bell chimed again. But this time it wasn't the front door. It came from the hallway. From the quiet room. Darius took a step back. "No one's in there," he said. Tara whispered, "We left the lamp off. I know we did." Helena moved toward the hall, slow, deliberate. The quiet room door was slightly ajar. A thin line of light glowed along the floor. Someone had turned the lamp on. End of chapter 6. Chapter 7. The Lamp. The quiet room was only a few steps down the hall, but the walk felt longer. Helena pushed the door open. The lamp on the small table burned with its low, amber cast. The chair was angled slightly away from the wall, not quite where it had been before. A blanket on the seat had shifted, as if someone had pressed down, then stood. No one was in the room. Tara hovered behind her. "I know I turned that off," she said. "I did. I always do." Graham stepped forward. "Maybe someone brushed it. The switch is sensitive." "It's not," Tara whispered. Helena crossed to the lamp and touched the shade. Warm. She glanced at the floor. No footprints in the thin dust under the table. Nothing disturbed on the shelf. Behind her, Darius shifted his weight. "Should I check outside again?" "Stay here," Helena said. Her voice remained even. Jenna rubbed her arms. "This place always gets noises when the heat changes. It's nothing." No one seemed convinced. "Let's close this up for now. We're jumping at shadows," Graham said. They returned to the main room. The lamp's glow dimmed as the door shut, sealing the quiet room back into its hush. Emily's mother was sitting at the table where the stills lay. She had arranged them in sequence, the office doorway, the alley figure, the car reversing, like pieces of a puzzle that refused to fit. "She wasn't someone who hid things," she murmured. "She told me everything." Helena said nothing. Tara finally spoke. "We should check the retreat house rooms again," she said. "Maybe something changed, something we missed." Liam nodded too quickly. "I can take us. The roads aren't bad anymore." Graham hesitated. "You'll stay here," Tara said quietly. "Someone should be here in case something happens." Graham looked at her as if he didn't understand who she was siding with, but he didn't argue. They drove in 2 cars. The sky had gone that muted silver that held neither snow nor sun. The retreat house stood exactly as it had earlier, still, remote, waiting. Tara unlocked the door. The air inside was colder than before. "Heat must have cut off again," she said. Helena stepped into the living room. The folded blanket on the couch had fallen halfway to the floor. She crouched and lifted the corner. No dust mark beneath it, meaning it had fallen recently. Liam dragged his hand through his hair. "I swear I didn't touch that." They checked the kitchen. The fridge hummed as before. The chore list remained unchanged. Cabinets closed. No new tracks in the thin film of flour around the baking counter. Then the quiet room. The lamp was off again. Tara clasped her hands. "Someone came here." Helena ran a finger across the table. No smudge, no shift in the dust. Whatever had happened, it left no clear trace. They moved upstairs. Helena checked the second room first, the one Emily used. Tara hovered behind her like a shadow wanting to speak, but not daring. The shelf still held the novel and a tiny ceramic cup Emily had used to collect change during clothing drives. It lay on its side now, 3 coins inside, 1 on the floor. Helena picked up the coin on the floor. A quarter, unremarkable. She placed it on the table. Darius stood in the doorway. "Maybe she came back," he said softly. "Like after the bank, just to get something." "No one signed her in," Tara said. "She wouldn't forget that. She loved following rules," Jenna said. Liam shifted. "That's not true. She broke curfew that night last month." Tara shot him a sharp look. "That was different." Liam's voice rose. "Everything is different when it's her." Helena glanced at the rug in the hall. slightly askew from when they'd walked through earlier, but something else caught her eye. A broom leaned against the wall, bristles slightly damp. "Who mopped today?" Helena asked. No one answered. "There's no bucket out," Tara said. "Maybe Graham came earlier," Jenna offered. "Graham was with us all morning," Tara said. Liam's gaze flicked toward the back door. "Animals get in sometimes," he said. Helena eyed the broom again. Someone had used it. Lightly. Enough to disturb small things, but not enough to clean. She didn't touch the bristles. They returned downstairs. Tara went into the kitchen to turn up the heat. Helena stood by the front windows, looking out at the driveway. Snowmelt streaked into uneven patterns. 2 sets of tire tracks, Liam's car and hers. A third faint track curved near the trees. "Who else came earlier?" Helena asked. Tara leaned around the corner. "No one. We lock up unless someone texts they're coming. Are you sure?" "Always." Darius moved to Helena's side, peering out. "That's not fresh," he said. "But not old either." "It wasn't here when we arrived this morning," Tara said. "I would have noticed." A branch snapped somewhere in the woods. Not loud, but distinct. All eyes darted toward the trees. Liam murmured, "Probably a deer." Jenna hugged her arms tighter. Helena stepped onto the porch. The air was sharp, carrying the faint mineral smell of the lake. The woods were still. Then her phone buzzed. It was a text from Graham. 911 came to the office. They found something behind the building. "You need to come back. Now." She read it twice. Tara's voice drifted from the doorway. "What did he say?" Helena slipped the phone into her pocket. "We're leaving," she said. "All of us." Darius's gaze flicked toward the woods. "What did they find?" Helena answered without hesitation. "You'll see when we get there." Behind her, a second text buzzed. Just 2 words. "It's clothing." End of chapter 7. Chapter 8. Behind the building. The drive back to the main office felt longer than it had that morning. No one spoke. Tara sat in the passenger seat, hands pressed between her knees. In Helena's rear view, Liam's hatchback followed close, headlights trembling in the wet air. Darius and Jenna sat inside, silhouettes against the grey. When they arrived, an ambulance idled near the alley. 2 police cruisers flanked the side entrance, lights muted but pulsing faintly against the brick. Emily's mother stood near the curb, coat drawn tight, eyes fixed on the ground. Graham hovered beside her, attempting calm, but looking hollowed out. Helena parked and stepped out. Detective Ruiz was already there, brushing melting snow from his coat. His expression was the same even line as always, professional, unreadable. "What did you find?" she asked. A groundskeeper doing salt rounds noticed fabric under the dumpster. Ruiz said. "We pulled it out." Emily's mother took a shaky breath. "It's hers," she whispered. "It's her jacket." The jacket lay sealed in a clear evidence bag at Ruiz's feet. Pale yellow, quilted, torn near one pocket, with a dark smear across the cuff. The zipper was bent, as if yanked too hard. Tara's hand flew to her mouth. "She wore that on Friday." Ruiz nodded. "We'll run tests, but it confirms she was here after 9:30. Graham crossed his arms. "People leave clothes behind all the time. Sorting gets messy. Outside? Under a dumpster?" Ruiz said quietly. Graham's mouth stayed shut. Darius shifted closer. "Could someone have planted it?" Ruiz glanced up. Do you know something you haven't told us? No. Darius hesitated. But someone's watching this place. I saw that guy again on my walk over. White jacket, hood up. Same one from the terminal. Ruiz scribbled a note but didn't comment. Snow hissed against the cruiser roofs. Helena looked toward the alley. A strip of slush showed tire marks that didn't match Liam's car or Graham's sedan. Narrower tread, deeper grooves. There's another vehicle footprint by the fence, she said. Already marked, Ruiz replied. Doesn't belong to staff? Emily's mother stepped closer. You haven't found anything else? Her voice was fragile, almost afraid of the answer. We're expanding the perimeter, Ruiz said gently. Tara hugged herself. Her note. She wouldn't have written it unless she was scared. Ruiz's radio crackled. He turned aside, listening, jaw tightening. Go ahead. Static. Then a muffled voice. Ruiz lowered the radio slowly. Emily's mother read the change in his face. What is it? We found something else, he said. Near the creek bed behind the community center. 1/4 mile from here. Helena felt the words hang heavy in the air, like frost. What kind of something? See for yourself. Ruiz nodded to an officer holding an evidence bag. Inside was a phone, cracked corner, purple case, a fading sunflower sticker on the back. Emily's mother gasped. That's hers. It was face down in shallow snow, Ruiz said. We'll check timestamps and activity. She didn't take it to the lake, Tara whispered. Jenna stood apart, arms wrapped tight around herself. She always kept it on silent, said the sound made her anxious. Liam leaned against the wall, staring at the phone. People drop things, he muttered. Not like that, Tara said. Ruiz pocketed his notebook. We'll need new statements, all of you. Graham straightened. We've cooperated fully. Then you won't mind staying available, Ruiz replied. The wind cut between the buildings. Somewhere nearby, a loose sign tapped softly against metal. Darius leaned closer to Helena. That guy in the white jacket, I saw him again this morning, near the community center. Ruiz overheard. Describe him. Tall, hood up, didn't look at me, just watched. Ruiz nodded. We'll pull footage. Emily's mother stared at the evidence bags. She didn't run away, she said softly. She didn't. A gust swept down the alley, spinning loose snow into a brief white spiral. The yellow jacket fluttered inside its plastic bag, catching the light like a pulse. Tara turned toward the wall. There, she said suddenly, by the utility door. Helena followed her gaze. A single glove lay in the snow, dark grey, half buried. Not torn, not soaked. Deliberately placed. Jenna's voice cracked. That's Liam's. Everyone turned. Liam blinked, startled. I didn't... Ruiz raised a hand to silence him and motioned an officer forward. He crouched beside the glove, lifted it carefully with tongs. Right here? He asked. By the door, Tara said. It wasn't there this morning. Ruiz studied the ground. Then someone brought it after we arrived. The words seemed to draw the cold in tighter. Someone had been here, watching. Helena scanned the alley, every sound sharpened by stillness. Then came a faint noise, a soft crunch, like a foot on wet gravel behind the dumpster. Ruiz heard it too. He drew his gun. Who's back there? Silence. Then another crunch. Helena took a step forward. From behind the dumpster, a figure bolted. White jacket, hood up, sprinting toward the back gate. "Stop!" Ruiz shouted. The figure didn't stop. It moved fast, sure-footed, cutting between the police cars, knowing exactly where to go. Tara screamed. Helena ran. The gate slammed open, metal shrieking, and the figure vanished into the dark fringe of trees beyond the lot. By the time Helena reached it, the branches were still swinging, but the woods had swallowed everything. No footprints, no echo, only cold air and wind. Behind her, Ruiz barked orders into his radio. Officers spread across the lot. Emily's mother sobbed into her hands. Graham stood motionless, staring at the open gate, and Tara whispered, voice trembling, almost to herself. "He's been here the whole time." The snow started falling harder, quieting everything but the sirens. End of Chapter 8. Chapter 9. The Gate. Police spread into the trees, flashlights cutting through falling snow. Voices echoed, then vanished into the cold. The flakes drifted more than fell, soft enough to blur any trace of where the figure had gone. Helena stood by the open gate, watching the lights disappear into the dark. Behind her, the alley swarmed with noise. Ruiz giving orders, officers marking evidence, EMTs closing their kits. Emily's yellow jacket hung from an evidence rack, frozen mid-motion. Ruiz returned a minute later, breath visible in the air. "Lost him," he said. "No prints, no trail." Tara hugged herself. He was right there. Ruiz nodded. And he knew where to run. Liam stood near the wall, hands deep in his pockets, face pale. Ruiz turned toward him. "We found your glove." "It's not..." Liam hesitated. "It's mine, but I didn't put it there. When did you last have it?" "I don't know. Friday, maybe Saturday. They all look the same. Donations." "These have initials," Ruiz said, lifting the bag. "LR," Tara murmured. "He labels everything so it doesn't get mixed in." "I didn't put it outside," Liam said. "Someone took it." Ruiz's eyes stayed on him for a beat. Then he looked to an officer. "Search the retreat house again. Entry points, vents, woods. He's been watching." The officer jogged off. Emily's mother stepped forward, voice trembling. "My daughter's phone? Did you check her messages?" "It's locked," Ruiz said. "She uses her birthday for everything." Ruiz nodded for the phone. The cracked purple case lit as he entered the code. It unlocked. A draft text appeared. Unfinished, unsent. "I know about the money. I'm not afraid of you. We need..." The line ended there. No name. Just a blinking cursor. Jenna whispered, "What money?" Ruiz's gaze swept the group. "Who handled cash last week?" "Only Graham or me," Tara said quickly. "Emily helped sometimes, but not with deposits." Ruiz said, "She made 3 deposits Friday night." Tara shook her head. "She hates banks." Graham interjected. "She offered. Said she was heading that way." "You told me she didn't come back after 9, Ruiz said. "She didn't," Graham insisted. "We close at 9. "Except she did." Ruiz held up a still image. Graham's expression tightened. No one spoke. Ruiz pocketed the phone. If that message was meant for someone, who would she confront? No answer. Only the faint hiss of wind through the alley. An officer appeared, holding his phone. "Detective, we found tracks." Ruiz turned. "From the runner?" "No. Behind the fence. 2 sets." He handed over the photo, a deep heel print, a lighter step beside it, faint drag lines in the snow. Ruiz frowned. Victim or suspect? Unknown, the officer said, but one's small. Could be female. Emily's mother gripped her coat collar. Tara moved closer. That's Emily's boot tread. She had little sun shapes at the toes. The officer zoomed in. Tiny sunburst impressions near the front of the print. She walked there, Jenna whispered. She was alive. Ruiz nodded. Which means someone walked with her. Graham cleared his throat. Could be anyone from the creek encampment. Then why didn't she call for help? Emily's mother cried. Maybe she tried, Ruiz said. We don't know. Darius stepped forward. The man in the white jacket. What if he took her through the woods instead of the street? No cameras there. Ruiz flipped to another image, a snapped branch, scraped bark, a faint grey smear on the trunk. Tara squinted. That looks like dust from the donation bins. Ruiz didn't reply. Show me the retreat house again, he told the officer, especially the vent in that quiet room. Why the vent? Jenna asked. Because someone's using it, Ruiz said. Maybe to hide something. He turned to the group. We're splitting up, house and office. I want every timeline matched and every key checked. Then to Helena. You're with me. Engines rumbled to life. As Helena reached for the cruiser door, Tara ran toward them. Wait, she said, breath fogging in the cold. Before you go. Helena stopped. I didn't tell you everything, Tara whispered. About Friday. About the bank. A shout cut through the air. An officer near the dumpster stumbled back. Detective, over here. Ruiz moved fast. What is it? The officer pointed at the slush behind the dumpster. A small metal shape glinted in the light. Ruiz crouched. Don't touch it. The officer lifted it with tongs, a key. Clean, modern, with a white tag. One faint letter scratched into it. Retreat house issue, Ruiz said quietly. Same brand as the others. Tara pressed a hand to the wall. That wasn't there before. Ruiz nodded. Someone wanted us to find it. Helena looked toward the open gate. Snow drifted through a narrow path that seemed to stretch into the woods. A thin, deliberate line, already fading. Branches moved faintly in the distance, whispering as if something had just passed through. Ruiz's radio crackled. Teams ready? He glanced back once. We go now. The officers moved fast, headlights flooding the alley. Red and blue light spilled across the snow. Helena stayed for a moment longer, watching the path until it vanished completely. The forest beyond the gate looked still, but nothing about it felt quiet. End of Chapter 9. Chapter 10. The Woods. The key lay where the officer had found it, half buried in slush. Ruiz crouched beside it, gloved fingers tracing the scratched tag. Retreat house issue, he said. Same brand, same cut. The scratched letter E caught the light. Emily's mother inhaled sharply. Ruiz stood. I want teams at the retreat house. Search everywhere, especially the crawl space and vents. Officers began moving, radios crackling. The back gate stayed open, framing the dark woods like a doorway no one wanted to step through. Tara hovered near Helena, pale, shaking. That key wasn't there this morning, she said. We salted the entire alley. Ruiz nodded. Someone returned it? Liam stepped forward. I swear I didn't. We're not arresting anyone yet, Ruiz said. We're following the evidence. Darius's eyes traced the snow toward the woods. He ran that way, he said. White jacket. He's hiding something. Ruiz motioned for 2 officers. With me. They followed the faint trail. Not footprints exactly, more the absence of snow where the undergrowth bent in recent passage. Helena walked beside them, silent. The woods swallowed sound. 10 yards in, an officer held up a hand. Here, he said. A second set of prints. Fainter than the alley prints, but unmistakable. One large, one small. The same staggered set from the earlier photo. Ruiz's jaw tightened. 2 people. No one spoke. They followed the prints deeper, where the woods opened into a thicket of dead ferns and fallen logs. Snow clung to the branches in thin white seams. The wind carried a faint, sharp smell. Earth turned too recently. The officer ahead stopped abruptly. Detective, he said softly. Ruiz stepped forward. In the clearing, beneath a fallen limb and barely shielded by brush, lay a small mound of disturbed snow. The ground beneath had been scraped hurried, shallow. A coat sleeve protruded from the snow, pale yellow. Emily's mother cried out before anyone could stop her. Ruiz caught her by the arm as she collapsed. Helena moved toward the mound. She didn't touch anything, just looked. Emily lay curled slightly, as if trying to keep warm. Snow clung to her hair. Her face was turned to the side, peaceful in a way that didn't belong to the woods. One hand was visible, fingers half closed around something. Ruiz leaned in. "Bag her hand," he told the officer quietly. The officer used tongs to remove the object from her fingers. A small folded slip of paper. Ruiz unfolded it. A deposit slip. Friday's date. Handwritten initials in the corner. Not ELH. The initials were GL, Graham Laird. For 3 full seconds, the woods seemed to hold its breath. Tara shook her head violently. No. No. He said she offered. He said, "We aren't done," Ruiz said. Another officer called out from the tree line. "Detective, over here." They followed his voice. Near a rotted stump sat a small metal lockbox, its lid cracked open. Inside, ledger pages, torn ones, folded and flattened. A roll of bills, a church donation envelope, more slips. And buried beneath them, a second phone. Not Emily's, Graham's. Ruiz's face hardened. He said he left it at home. Tara collapsed to her knees. "He wouldn't hurt her," she whispered. "He wouldn't." A shout echoed from the direction of the retreat house. Then another, urgent. An officer ran toward them through the trees. "Detective! We found someone." They rushed back up the slope toward the house, breath visible in the cold. Officers clustered near the quiet room window. Inside, 2 officers held a man on the floor, wrists pinned behind him. Graham. He wasn't fighting. He wasn't speaking. He only stared at the vent near the bookshelf, the one with new screws, as if it were the only thing in the room. Ruiz pushed inside. "Graham Laird, you are—" "It wasn't supposed to happen like that," Graham said, voice flat, eyes unfocused. "She threatened everything." Tara sobbed. "Graham, please." He didn't look at her. "She came to me on Friday," Graham murmured. "She said the numbers didn't make sense. The deposits, the missing pages. She asks questions like it's her right." He blinked slowly. "She said she would go to the police." Ruiz's voice stayed controlled. "What did you do?" Graham didn't answer at first. His gaze drifted back to the vent. "She wanted truth," he said quietly. "Truth without understanding. She didn't know what I built here, what I kept together. People depend on me." His hands trembled. "She said she had proof. That's when it happened." Ruiz stepped closer. "Where did you take her?" Graham swallowed. "She said she'd walk to the lake. I told her I'd drive her home instead, that we could talk. She wasn't scared. She trusted me." A thin laugh escaped him, hollow. "I lost her in the woods. She struggled, fell. I panicked. I didn't mean to." Tara covered her face. Jenna stepped back, shaking. Liam stared at the floor. Graham's voice dropped to a whisper. "She wouldn't stop saying what she knew." An officer cuffed him. Another read his rights. Ruiz moved to the vent and removed the screws. Inside lay additional ledger fragments, rolled bills, a torn volunteer list with Emily's name circled twice. Helena stood by the doorway, still, silent. She watched the officers work, watched Emily's mother sink into a chair, her body folding inward. No expression crossed Helena's face. No judgment, only presence, steady, unwavering. Outside, the ambulance waited. The woods held stillness again, and the sun, pale and winter-thin, crept slowly across the floorboards as the evidence was carried out one piece at a time. End of chapter and end of book. Like and subscribe to support our channel and to listen to more intriguing investigative stories.